Hey everybody, Joe here. I'm back again, and I'm here to show you some troubleshooting tips for the Sega 32X. 32X, as you may already know, time has not been very kind to this unit. If you pick one up used, there's a very good chance that you may have some issues with it. So I want to show you a couple of tips to get one working. If you have a Genesis 2 unit like myself, it is highly recommended that you have the little expansion or adapter for the cartridge slot that keeps the unit from rocking around too much. If you don't have one, they go for kind of a lot on eBay, so you may want to consider trying to makeshift your own, or come up with some other solution to keep it from rocking. I'll leave that up to you though. Another thing, if you have a Genesis 1, you don't really need it for the 2, but I have one, so I have it connected, is this expansion clip. The first version of the 32X required this. Especially if you have a Genesis Model 1. It's not quite necessary with the Model 2, it just goes over this little slot. Of course, if you have a Sega CD, that is not necessary. One last thing is the jumper that goes from AV out on the Genesis itself into the AV in on the 32X. If you have a Genesis 1, there's a little adapter you need for this cable. It's imperative you have it. Being someone who does not have a Genesis 1, I have a Genesis 2 here before you. I won't be needing one, won't be requiring one. Now let's get into the hookup of this. As you see, I don't have a TV here. I'm just going to show you the basics of hooking one up. And turn this around. I'm going to zoom the camera in and give you a little explanation here. Alright, with the camera zoomed in, you can clearly see that you've got your AC adapter for the Genesis 2 here, the AV out right here, and then you've got two AV ports on the 32X and an AC adapter on this. The jumper cable for the audio video, you want to have it so the AV out on the Genesis is going to the AV in on the 32X. This AV port goes out to the TV. And then for AC adapters, both the Genesis Model 2 and the Sega 32X require a Sega Model 2103 AC adapter. You will need both AC adapters, one for each device, and that's a pain in the ass. And if you don't have the one that came with the 32X, you can get any 2103 and it'll work just fine. You will find some aftermarket AC adapters which match the voltage. You gotta make absolutely sure everything matches, because it is very, very easy to fry a 32X. Also, I might want to add that a basic replacement for this jumper cable goes for around $7. Now that you have it hooked up, let's say you go to play that 32X game and the picture's not all there, or there's some other issue. When you go to play a Genesis cart, everything works fine. So you know there's something up. When you're dealing with the 32X, two cartridge slots, cartridge ports, the game, and the connector on the system itself, you're going to want to keep all them clean. Use traditional system and game cleaning methods for that. Another thing, addressing the rocking. This will rock around a little bit when it's inserted properly. Originally the 32X came with these metal plates that held the cartridge slot open. They're not necessary, but they did aid the rocking a little bit. Something I discovered, if you want to minimize that rocking, take a piece of cardboard, something like cut down a piece of a cereal box, or maybe the back of a writing tablet, something, just a nice thin piece of cardboard, business card size give or take. Fold that over, stick it in the cartridge slot right behind the port. Doesn't really hold the thing open, but it'll minimize the rocking. It'll stay there and it won't move around quite so much. The slightest little rock or jiggle while it's running will cause your games to freeze up to no end. If that does not help, you may have to take slightly more extreme measures to get your 32X running, and that would require some minor surgery, let's say. So what we're going to do here is get a cordless screwdriver. Any old screwdriver will work. I'm using a cordless drill because I'm kind of lazy. And I want to back these screws out. There are 4 screws to hold the 32X together on the outside here. Once they're off, you can just take the top off. Now with the top off, you'll see that there's a shield plate. There is a dozen screws holding this shield plate in place. They're kind of redundant, I know, but that's what's here. We're going to take this shield plate off. Now that we have the screws removed, we can just lift this shield plate right off. And now we have this whole circuit board exposed. You might want to take some compressed air and blow everything out if there's dust. But what we're really going to focus on are these 2 ribbon cables right here and here. These 2 ribbon cables, from heat and from just time, will come loose. In order to get the 32X functioning properly, you're going to want to reseat them. Basically, just if your fingers are too big, you might want to use needle nose pliers or something, but just be very careful and just pull these 2 ribbon cables out. And then you might want to make sure the connectors on these 2 ribbon cables are clean. But once you do, you just want to reseat them back in firmly. Once everything's cleaned and these are reseated, I recommend you hook up your 32X before reassembling it completely. And now take the time to test the unit out. For the sake of brevity, I am not going to do that here. Once you ensure that everything is functional, you can just put the unit back together. With the shield plate back on, I think it's kind of redundant that it used a dozen screws, so I'm only using the basic 4 to put it back together. Once you have everything finally reassembled, you can hook it right back up. Just like I said in the beginning of the video, put your game in, power on, and you're good to go. Hope this video's been helpful and informative. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.